Well, the world is changing rapidly around us. It's especially changing for our friends who are renters and our friends who are landlords and our friends who are property managers are the ones who keep all that together. We've got a friend of mine, Mario Gonzalez, from Navy to Navy Homes. By the way, the #1 affiliate in the country of Homes for Heroes, who's going to help us navigate some of the challenges as a landlord, a tenant, as a property manager. Mario, welcome, brother.
Thanks, Wally. Pleasure to be here.
So as a property manager, you've got some real challenges on your hands with the way the law and the executive orders are impacting the rights of landlords. Give us some idea of some of those landmines that a landlord can inadvertently step on if they've got a tenant who's a little bit behind in the rent.
Sure, absolutely. So statistics say about 70% of all homes that are managed are not even managed by professional property managers. They're managed by kind of do-it-yourself landlords. And then the vast majority of property managers aren't really, we'll say, up on all the current laws. And as you know, things are changing from federally down to locally almost daily. And the biggest thing that came out with Executive Order 2094, and it kind of ties into the stimulus package, for all those people who couldn't pay rent in full on April 1st due to a COVID-related issue. So the non-payment of rent, we can no longer handle the way that we have forever. And that means property managers and do-it-yourself landlords. So there are very specific rules and guidelines that you have to follow both federally and down in the state level. So California is doing a little bit different than Florida, but we all have to be within the federal mandate. So the notices have changed, evictions have changed, everything has changed in the real estate game for property managers right now.
Mario, I've read that there's a suspension on evictions. Can I still send a 3-day notice so that's in place for when that suspension is lifted?
Sure, great question. I spoke to an attorney yesterday that actually had 30 evictions filed with him yesterday. And the short answer is no, you cannot do it the way that you normally could have, because there's two types of properties that are addressed in kind of the Relief Act. And it's what they call covered properties or non-covered. So a non-covered is a home that is, paid for by cash and that thing. And you can kind of handle that normally, if you will, with a 3-day notice, but that's the small minority of homes. And even if you did do a 3-day notice and went to court, most of the courts are closed. People aren't filing the writs of possession and everything. So that's kind of on hold, even in the local municipalities. But to answer your question, the majority of homes that are covered with any sort of federally backed loan, if you will, you cannot give that 3-day notice that says, hey, pay or else. You cannot do that right now. Absolutely not.
So if I own the home free and clear in my rental portfolio, I can issue the 3-day notice and I can evict. The issue is if I have a federally backed loan.
Correct. What they call a covered property. And there's a long list of the covered properties, if you will.
Mario, what kind of advice or guidance are you given to the landlord who may have one property, may have 10 properties? They also have 10 mortgages. How does that protection for the tenant, which I respect, what protections are in place for the landlord who still has to make those mortgage payments?
Sure. The biggest thing for the landlord right now, and I tell everybody, and I was on the news just a little bit ago saying this, so the communication between the landlord and the tenant is critical at this time. If they're affected by COVID, if the renter is affected by COVID and they're, try and get some sort of payment. To answer your question of how the landlord is protected, in the grand scheme of things, that's where the relief is coming to them. And whether it be federal funds or the mortgage forbearance, a lot of the mortgage companies are allowing them to basically delay their payments. So it's not a free lunch in any way, shape, or form, but they can delay their payments, some up to 120 days. We've even heard of a couple that'll say, hey, you can take it out to 6 months, a year if you need to. But the protection for the landlord is really just a deferment in the payments while the tenant or federal relief comes to this tenant.
Right. I want to thank you for that, Mario. And I also want to share with people that I know you've got a tremendous heart to protect the tenants. I know you've got the technical skills to guide and protect the landlords. And I also know that you've been very, very involved over the years with the property managers associations, both local, state, and beyond. And I'd also encourage property managers who are unsure reach out to Mario. I'm positive he would be eager to help you, guide you, so that we can all get through this together, be you tenant, landlord, or property manager. And thank you so much, Mario.